Hey everyone, my name is JB. I am the video producer and a 3D artist for Foulball Hangover. And today we've got something a little bit different. We're going to be taking a little trip down memory lane. We've got the 3rd anniversary of Hydroneer coming up, and I'm joined here today by the studio director, Max, as you know. Say hello, Max.
What's up, gamers?
And he's going to be taking me through, and all of us through the history of Hydroneer. And, we're going to see how the game started from its roots and possibly check out some of like the jankiness that was about back then. Is that right, Max?
Yeah, I think that's about right. We're going to be starting with the 0.8 version of the game as well, which is the first version that ever was introduced to Steam. Now, this was before the game also went live as well. This was when the game was being supported by Patreon and Patreon supporters. I wanted a way to introduce updates to people that they could easily grab, so we're using Steam at this point, but we were still quite a way away from the Steam release.
Cool, sounds good. Right, so here we are at the start of Hydroneer, or at least the first public version that was released, right, Max? Where are we? Yeah. What is this?
We are in the 0.8 version of the game, as you said. It's a very old version of the game. It's actually on a completely different map. There are some similarities that you might notice. Already from this screen, you can see that Bastion Keep and that kind of town up there is the same. The lighting is very different, you might be able to tell, and obviously this main menu as well, using the old graphics. So yeah, how about we jump straight in?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, we're going to hit new game. I don't think there was save files back then. I think you just had one save file. And if you hit a new game, it doesn't even say, do you want to overwrite this? You are just, you just lost.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, so like immediately I can see like the visual style has, developed a long way from here to where we are now. Everything looks like, I'd almost say a little bit like moodier almost. The color palette is ever so slightly different, but it's still good old Ember's Cradle as we know it.
It is indeed. There is something interesting here as well that I've just like immediately seen, and that's the road width is a lot smaller. I think this version, it didn't have vehicles. We just had like a cart over there. So you can see here, literally the road is quite slim.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the old shovel here as well.
Absolutely.
See also, I'm holding it kind of relative to where I'm looking as well, which doesn't look nearly as nice.
Yeah, you're kind of holding it downwards. How about you show us, as you would start a game in Hydroneer 0.8, and for those who are playing the current build of the game, hopefully you'll be able to see some of the like key visual differences here. But from a foundation, would you say Hydroneer is always been from on like a foundational level the same idea, like from 0.8 to where you are now? Is the idea always been get dirt, put in bucket and brush it, or is that kind of changed?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much been the same thing from the get-go. I think that was kind of my main intention with designing Hydroneer, was turning dirt into something sparkly. And you can see I've got something sparkly.
Look at those teeny little nuts, man.
They are tiny, and that would have been very annoying to be able to control these like really, really small nuts. Like, I don't think this version, and I definitely didn't have conveyor belts, but it also had some weird physics issues there. It just flung me a little bit.
Yeah, man.
There's just so many like small things we can see here. Where with carrying tools is all kind of like relative to the camera. I don't think the physics so the physics doesn't actually lock off. So you can see I can actually like push this brush around and start moving into it. That was a big kind of feature that got added later on, was just the implementation of just a bit of optimization there, where resources are actually frozen and not interacting with the player as much. So the basic game loop is definitely kind of still has its roots here. You can see I don't think sound is recording right now, but the sound effects are not as nearly as nice, and also missing. Like when I was kind of shoveling into this bucket, you couldn't hear anything. So yeah, that's kind of there. We'll take a look around for now though. So yeah, I mean the lantern's the same model, I think. The store probably is a little bit.
Look a bit barren. Oh, look at this.
This is one thing actually. You'll notice in the top right of my screen, there's actually money. In the game before, maybe the next version, I don't know. We'll see. There's actually money. You didn't have physical money. It was just on this corner of your screen.
Really?
So in British pounds for some reason. I don't know why. I was just like, yeah, it's probably set in England. So yeah, just your basic kind of tools.
Yeah. But it's, I was coming into this thinking it was going to look a lot more barren. But actually there was quite a lot of things here, even from this version, which you could like get involved with. Oh, there is conveyors in this version.
Yeah, there's only one conveyor though. I don't think there's a corner.
So you can make one really long line, but that's about it.
Yeah, it looks like it. I don't know where the drill is as well. There's a harvester. Maybe it didn't put a drill in there. It has water pressure, but okay, let's take a look at the castle up here. I think it's going to be the same. Obviously, you're not going to see any NPCs because NPCs didn't get added until 2.0. But this shape-wise looks pretty similar.
Yeah.
You've got your jeweler here. Yeah, there were stocks.
Stonks, we know it.
We do like the stonks. Obviously now there's a whole
stuff going on in there nowadays, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, we can head back down over here. I guess you couldn't put coins in the well. Right now, if you put coins in the well, you get like a little boot as an Easter egg.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I think I did spot the cave though. So the cave is still in the game.
Okay.
That was kind of added to make players explore a bit more of the world, or at least the other dig sites by having incentives to kind of visit the other dig sites.
So to like just to kind of like set the scene of how obviously we're going to cover the pathway of Hydroneer a little bit more, but to set the scene of how much the game is developed, just like in a nutshell almost, like what systems are in the game now at this point? Is it like dig to get gold to then make money and automate that? Like there's no fishing, is there forging in this? Is the masterwork in this? Like,
so just by looking at the store over here, it looks like fishing was in this, because obviously this is quite a few years ago, so I can't really remember what
yeah.
But it does look like we have fishing rods. I think, oh yeah, you can't steal items. In fact, this was even before the time we had the classic stolen item sound, the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
It just kind of disappears. But yes, there's fishing, there's smelting. Looks like there's a tiny bit of automation. I think there's some more stores on the right here, so we can take a look at that.
Yeah, cool.
In just a second. Obviously, there's a whole town here that was originally. It was originally just a dig site, which is kind of cool to think about. But they somehow built a town on top of it. You'll notice with a lot of these updates, I kind of like to create some scenery around the space just before adding something. So, for example, with the recent farming update, before that farming update, the space was empty and it had kind of like these essentially like work in progress buildings. And I thought that was really cool to see the game evolve like that. So there is some sort of, I guess, story crafting you can that comes into play when we look at this. So moving over here, obviously by this point you'd be in water in the current version of the game.
Okay.
But in this version there was another dig site over here. I don't think these dig sites were particularly deep either. Okay. They were probably about tier 2 depths. From memory, I think that was about right.
We got a whole store over here and all sorts.
Yeah, so the old housing store. So we had walls that looked like this. I think we've actually gone through like 3 iterations of different walls. We had this, and then later on in this video, I'm sure we'll go over the other ones. We had some, our long corrugated metal that we still got. I think it's called long tin sheet now or something like that, for like this thing. These concrete foundations, some doors.
That's what we're here to see, baby. We love it. Love this shit like that.
not janky at all. This is cool. So this is the old, I think this was like called a rig store. And the idea before was that we would have multiple kind of pieces of a vehicle that you can put together and have on rail tracks. But it didn't really work very well because you needed to place rail tracks to then dig things. So you would kind of dig away a little bit. You'd place a rail track and then have to dig more, and it didn't really work.
Okay.
So I think that's why these shells are empty.
Yeah.
This is really cool. The pickaxe rifle. I'm sure lots of people would like to see this back, but
I've never seen that or even heard of it. What is this?
So it's 2 mini pickaxes on the end of a rifle stock. And same with this magnet rifle over here as well, which I think became the magnet on the stick. But you would have this thing, the shard backpack. So if I chuck it down over here, you would open the door, put a shard inside of it, close the door, and then you could wear it. So right now I'm wearing it. I'm walking kind of slowly.
Yeah.
And and it would basically deplete. Oh God, I don't think I can take it off. Oh God. What if I go out the store? Okay, yeah, I think it is literally.
You're stuck. You're now slow.
Oh no. Oh, I just put another one on.
Oh, nice.
Okay,
another.
That's all right. Oh God. Well, okay. Let's quickly see if any. Okay. No.
Oh dear. Let's go back.
We're gonna have to restart. Oh God, this is not going well, is it?
So before we were stuck with about 9 backpacks on, we were looking at this store, and you were explaining the was it a pickaxe rifle or something?
Yeah. So they were like shard powered items basically. Yeah. That kind of got removed because I think people were finding it annoying that they would have to use shards to use like the magnet, for example. And it kind of like the pickaxe rifle became the meta. And then you wouldn't have enough shards and the balance was off. And I just think the entire design, it was a nice kind of attempt, but it was something that we just wanted to throw out. But I say I at that point. What was really cool about it though, and about this stage of development, is that anything that I added in was a test, right? It's before the Steam launch. It was when there was probably about 50 people playing this game and not a lot more than that. So they could rapidly get feedback and change things without people getting upset. Everyone had this kind of mutual understanding that the game was so heavily work in progress that things will be added in and removed quite quickly. As we'll see as these versions kind of progress. This is
That's a perfectly high archway right there.
Just like scraping the top of my head off. You don't want to wear a hat while going through this thing. So this actually is really interesting. You can just about vaguely understand that this is Burnscroft. The shape of it, I think what I did is when we put Burnscroft over where that plot is in this kind of direction, I took the entirety of this area right here, cut it up a little bit, and then just moved it over there just to say the work. I figured, if I've already built this little town here, I may as well not build it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then finally we come to the shoreline over here. And yeah, another stock market. So yeah, it was very bare bones at this point. There's some nice crates through the floor right now.
Lovely bit of clipping.
Yeah. And if we are to look at the last dig site that I think I didn't really take a look at, let's go back here. This well is huge. Yeah, if we come back over here, we can take a look at this dig site, which was, I guess, the meta dig site.
Oh my gosh, it's colossal.
Really, really big. Yeah. I suppose probably comparatively, it's probably about the same size as South Hope. But yeah, pretty damn big.
It looks just as awkward to get water to as well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that's it for 0.8. This is basically all the game really had was simple digging mechanics and a few items to buy. Not a whole lot of gameplay there at all, but still something that I think players did enjoy at that time.
Absolutely. So from this, 0.8, which is Patreon only, where are we going to be heading next?
So next up, we have got 1.3. I've just this morning set that up on our branch so we can access it. And looking at the different dates, over that 1.3 launch, it looks like 1.3 was actually being worked on all the way from May 8th from the release or a few days beforehand, all the way to like August. So there's a lot of 1.3 in there.
Okay. Cool.
And what we're going to be looking at is actually, I think it was actually 1.28. It was just before 1.3, which was when the game went live. It was the first patch I made after the game went live. So still May 8th. So yeah, we're going to take a look at that and see all of the lovely bugs that were there on launch day.
Wonderful. Right. We'll cut over to that and have a quick look then. All right, so here we are. We have now made it to version 1.3, and correct me if I'm wrong, Max, this was the first or just after the first version that was pushed to Steam, right, for public purchase?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is 1.3 though. There is some confusion there. Yeah, so it's 1.2.8.
Okay, so 1.3-ish.
Yeah, ish. Yeah, I don't think the 1.3, whatever was in that update, is not in this one. Sure. You can see we've got patch notes that we can't get rid of. The settings were super basic stuff. Even the audio settings was either turn the music on or off from here.
Yeah. Fair enough.
We do have save slots now. We have
Let's
4
go.
of them.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess that silly me thinking that's all players really wanted, but yeah, let's
dive in and see what's going on. Well, first things first, the lantern and shovel, just mind of their own.
So they're having a good day today, aren't they?
No, man.
The game already does feel a little bit better, I will admit. You've got things where you're not just holding the tools in like weird positions.
Yes.
Looks like the trees kind of pop in and out depending on their distance, though.
Lovely.
Which,
oh my goodness,
to see.
It
really do super noticeable.
My!
I think that might be due to the settings. Let me turn these settings up. I'll put them on ultra. Oh, there you go. Look at that. You can literally see.
Lovely. We get live action.
Okay, right. Let's jump back in. Yeah, so the trees they're working now. I think I didn't really calibrate the settings. We do have a map.
Okay, so we know where we're going now.
Yeah, so we can also see it is really not in the right position, is it?
Okay. Yeah, we don't need that anyway.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, physics even more janky than usual. I think what's happening here actually is it looks like
you're kind of tossing it, aren't you?
I'm kind of like just throwing it away. So yeah, we've got Bastion Keep, Ember Cradle, Burnscroft, Iron Hill, Bridgeport. So there's a few of the towns that are quite familiar.
Yeah.
I think we have a vehicle as well. So should we start off by checking out what we've got in the Ember Cradle store? Got our Hydro truck here.
So instantly we're looking more like home already.
Yeah, except from the wheels look a little bit further out. Okay. Yeah, so we got pipes here. We got mining helmets. Smithing stuff is here. Obviously, now we've lost the shard backpack and the pickaxe rifle.
They will be remembered.
Yeah, R.I.P. Should have a tombstone somewhere in the game for them. I think Burnscroft let's just take a quick look over here. It doesn't have sprint in the game. I'm just noticing that.
About to say, you are like meandering at best through the world right now.
So as you can see, like I mentioned earlier, Burnscroft got moved from that town, whatever it was called over there. I don't think it even had a name, to be honest.
Nowadays, this is like our fishing village, right?
Yeah, we've got our fishing stuff over here. You can pretty much see exactly where it fits in.
The silhouette there, isn't it?
We've got an Easter egg right here for Raptor.
Yes.
Still in the game, that one. I think most of them are. In fact, I think all of them are. Right here is the repair store. Current day repair store.
Yeah.
Still got a stock market over here.
Still got our stonks.
Yep.
Okay, so what was the time difference-ish between 0.8 and where we are now then? Like, how long were we talking again? Just remind me.
So at this point, we're about a year in total in development. So I imagine we're probably about maybe like 6 months down the line.
Okay.
I have to properly check it out.
Sure. How much would you say the development from point 8 to here was like community feedback, and how much of it was just like where direction that you applied, like off your own back?
I think the community suggestions were really, really useful, and obviously still are now. But I think I just had this kind of base idea in my head of where I want the game to be at. And by this point, we were really starting to make traction in that direction. Eventually, I think by 1.7, I had most of my ideas that I wanted to be in the game. But of course, that led to the 2.0 total rework of the game. And by that time, I think I had completely different ideas for the game. So a lot changed by then. One thing that you probably won't know, as you know, you're relatively new to the team, is vehicles before 2.0 were really, really, really bad. So if I hit this rock right here, I think I'll go flying off into the air. Oh, no, I think I got lucky.
Kind of hit it.
Yeah, kind of in it. Don't know if I can get out of it, but they were really, really buggy. Oh, here we are.
Oh, no, we're in Bridge 4.
We're in Bridge 4. Sort of similar to how it is today. Obviously, there are quite a few little changes here and there. Mainly, this is the old vehicle store.
Oh, look at that. Oh, you can't show that vehicle, dude. You'll get everyone all riled up.
Yeah.
And get everyone riled up.
I'm going to have to... there's no creative mode, so I'm going to have to get 1,000 coins just to use this. Yeah, this is the old harvester, excavator.
Excavator, yeah.
Doesn't have too much collision on it. It would have has this bucket right here, which filled up with dirt. And then over on this side, it would shoot dirt out in this kind of direction. This went through a lot of iterations before its death. First off, you can kind of see one big problem right here, which is the cutting barrel is this wide, but the vehicle is about twice as wide.
It is that wide, yeah.
So that became a bit of a problem. This thing is just problem on top of problem on top of problem. And it eventually just had to go. Now, of course, we have the Hydroneer in the 2.2 update.
Absolutely.
To kind of bring us back to this. Overall, I quite like the shape of it, and I think it's pretty cool. I think, new vehicles in the future could maybe stem from this design.
Yeah.
Maybe not digging vehicles, but maybe, we remove this front part and redesign it to look a bit nicer.
Yeah.
But, a really cool vehicle, but incredibly flawed.
Absolutely.
Over here, we've still got Blitz's house right here.
Oh, yeah.
Breach 4 is feeling a little bit quiet without all the NPCs.
I was going to say, it's a ghost town out here.
Yeah.
So where are we here? This is the
housing store.
Okay.
This is our second iteration of walls. So on that previous one, we looked at those red walls. And here we have these sort of the same size shape as the other ones that we have now, but not nearly as nice looking. We actually reworked these. In this version, though, you could paint them. So I don't know if it's going to let me in this store, but you would get a paintbrush and you would dip it in here and you could paint this. So instead of it being this kind of cream white color, it would be red. You got red, blue, black, pink, white, green, orange.
Nice.
So quite a few different colors to choose from. But we kind of got rid of this system, and I think the new building system is a lot better, especially because they're kind of in build sets now. While you can't, use paint or anything, you can now have these nicer looking building pieces that are quite different aesthetically from each other as it goes from set to set. One thing to note was really cool about these paint buckets is I think there was like 4 uses of paint in each one, and once you had used all the paint in the bucket, it would turn into a regular bucket.
Yo, revolutionary.
So cool.
Use.
Over here, we got the store. So we got the ram drill, which is similar to our kind of tier 1 drill we've got now. We've got the Goliath drill, which would dig down and actually remove the dirt below it. We've got the funnel, which also had quite a few iterations.
Yeah.
This one is square with a circle kind of thing here.
Yeah, it's not a bad shape, to be fair.
Yeah, looks all right. I like the Cloutium ring around it.
Mm.
We got all these kind of pipes and stuff. I think this is where we started to have splitters.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. And these are interesting because this was before we had the hook-on system. So in this version, you would have the pipe kind of built into it, which was kind of cool, but kind of a bit annoying. You couldn't have as much customization as you can have now, especially when it came to these splitters as well, whenever we added a new resource. So I don't think Cloutium is in the game at this point. So you could only choose between dirt, gold, iron, gems, and shards. I don't even think we had uncut gems at that point.
They just came straight cut already.
Yeah. So now, if we add anything new to the game with our current splitters, you can actually change, you can decide what item you want to have on there. And we also did have valves on the side here that you could turn the conveyors on and off. Let's see if I can actually, that didn't work.
Oh, didn't like
that. Yeah, so you can change the valves to turn them on and off. Yeah, pretty cool. We had the magnet on the stick and the magnet staff. Nowadays, the magnet on the stick is the only magnet item we have, and it's pretty much almost the same radius of magnetizing that the magnet staff has.
Okay.
So that's pretty much all of that. I think that's, other than the fancy fabric store, which is quite similar to today's one, I think that's everything we have. We don't have a cart store. We don't have any of the stores back here in the harbor.
Yeah, I was going to say, just store. Missing some bits and pieces there, but you can definitely start to see like how the game is taking shape to its like modern day, like step by step.
Right. Yeah.
It's nice. It's really, really nice. So earlier you mentioned the truck was inconsistent, to say the least. We're just going to see if we can get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, the vehicle system is tough. Like the acceleration is really bad. The reversing is really bad. And yeah, as soon as you hit something, you just go flying in this thing.
I kind of like that though. I mean, if you land it, there you go.
I will say though, we did, as an Easter egg for people that strangely in 2.0 wanted to keep in the truck flying about mechanics. We did keep in the ability to make the truck fling out of control, but obviously you had to and it's even in the current game now, you hold down W and spacebar to send your vehicle into space.
Okay. So you start like a burnout kind of thing.
Yeah.
And exactly. it just sends you.
Yeah. Mildew's aquifer here didn't have any signage to tell you what it was, I don't think. And also was very, very rough for some reason on the surface.
Absolutely. Yeah. Goodness. It looks like the moon.
Yeah. I think I don't think there's anything up the mountain now. We can just double check this, maybe get a nice overview of the world.
Oh yeah.
Looks like
there's it allows you to scale it.
There's an invisible wall here. I don't think we're going to be able to go up here today. So yeah, that is pretty much everything from 1.3 that we can take a look at quickly. Without kind of diving into the actual game mechanics of, watching me sit here and dig and pan for gold.
Yeah.
So next up, we have the 1.7 version. So let's take a look at that.
Sweet. Good stuff. All right. So here we are now at 1.7. And yeah, so we're going to hop in now and have a quick look at the changes between, 1.3 and 1.7. Max, what are we kind of expecting here then?
So this is just before we decided to kind of start reworking the game for 2.0. Obviously, one of the main points here was we were aiming to put multiplayer in the game, which unfortunately didn't work out. You can read all about that in the article on the Steam forums or checking out some of the old videos mentioning multiplayer. But another reason for the 2.0 rework was to rebalance the game and redesign the game. So we're going to look over some things here, and I'm probably going to mention a few things, a few elements at least, that I wanted to rework for that 2.0 launch. So right now, you can see the main menu has changed quite a bit. I think the camera's also moved from this last location of where you start out the game. We've got different save slots now. I think we've got 8 of them, 4 of which are on Steam Cloud. I think we added those in so we could use GeForce Now, the streaming platform. I think it required Steam Cloud, so that's actually why we added those in. There's a creative mode here, which we've got 1 save for the creative mode. I think we might actually play that one just for
ease.
Yeah, I think we'll play the creative mode one. So things look kind of similar to how they looked in that last version, the lighting especially, and kind of the foliage and the amount of foliage. First thing you'll notice is this sign that I put in because too many people were using the excavator in Ember Cradle. And since Ember Cradle is so small, the excavator really doesn't work and it starts flipping out of control. So, I mean, you can use the excavator here, but this is kind of a sign from me to say, this isn't really recommended, so don't try it. Let's take a look at our map over here. So yeah, looks kind of similar. We've got a lot of stuff going on at the harbor of Bridgeport, and it looks like the Logic shop is also in, as well as the card store as well. So yeah, those are something that we can definitely take a look at in a second. I can talk about that. Vehicles are still clunky and terribly optimized and just buggy as hell. The store now is a bit different. We still got our creative tools right here. So Hourglass, Flight Cap, Creative 1 and Gravity tools. I think since then, obviously, we've added in more creative tools as well. So yeah, that's
pretty similar.
Yeah, it really is. I don't think there's even a point going over to these areas over here because they are quite similar. So let's go take a look at Bridgeport. This is a little sign we had here, land for sale. I added it in so players would kind of look down this pathway, see this sign, and then kind of figure out that there's more land over this way. But I think in the end, I didn't really like the aesthetics of it. I don't think it really fit the game too well. But it's still kind of cool.
It is cool.
Like retro 50s kind of vibe to it.
Yeah. Looks like the In-N-Out logo, you know, like the burger joint in the States.
Oh, no.
So I just noticed there something that I forgot to like ask for the last version was in 1.3 did we convert to coins then, or were we still in Great British pounds sterling?
I think 1.3 we did have coins. Yeah, I think when the game went from like 0.8 to like whenever it went to like 1.0, I think that's when I added in actual physical money because I think the game reset then, I want to say. Might have. You can tell here as well, what's kind of funny is the map literally just ends just so shortly after this hill over here. Where Snow Ruin Falls is now, where there's like another stack of waterfalls, the map literally just ends there. There's no big mountain over here with awesome depths in it. It is literally just the end of the world. So yeah, let's take a look down here. I'll try not to crash the truck because we all know what happens when you crash this truck. The map is pretty much the same in terms of these dig sites. We've got a few new features like this house here, and this little castle house here.
It is all starting to feel a lot more like present day. Like I'm starting to recognize the land a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. You've got like the vehicle store here, you know, the cart store and the scrapyard. We're really, really starting to get into what modern day Hydroneer kind of looks like, although, you know, it still is quite far away from it. There's a little bug there where jump out the vehicle while holding forward. It will make you go forward without stopping. Conveyor belts. Now, I think that dirt one that was here before in this splitter is now a core stone. Not core stone, sorry.
Calcium.
Core stone is way off. You've got centralizers. So instead of having hooks like we have now, you would have a specific belt for each thing. So you'd have a centralizer here. You know, there was no gem grinders or anything like that. But yeah, one thing as well with 2.0 that we actually introduced was the ability to like move vehicles into these buying platforms a lot easier. So here, there's not a lot of space for a vehicle or even a way for the vehicle to get in. So that's something we really wanted to cover in this next update.
So would you say like 1.7 was like the kind of storming phase of Hydroneer then? You were taking like ideas from the past and where you want to go in the future, and kind of you started to collect all these in like the build up to this, just like rework, this rewrite and rebalance.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a really, like, the fact that we had the opportunity to say, we're going to, reset save files. We're going to redesign the game from the ground up, even rebuild the entire game code-wise from the ground up, was a really awesome opportunity for us. I'm really glad we did it. Obviously, I wish there was some, things we could have done differently with multiplayer. But it was a really great opportunity for us to just take a look at the game and say, what are the problems with the design and how can we redesign it to make it better? Things like, making all the drills sort of similar. Right here, you can see there's the Goliath, and you had this thing called the David. You would put a shard in this little pocket right here. And when it was powered by water, it would output dirt, like this giant ball of dirt, and it would kind of fly upwards. And what you would do is you would put the Goliath drill, this one right here, on top of it, like way up at the top. So then as this digs downwards, it would destroy the dirt that this David is creating. It kind of just got a bit messy and it didn't look great. So we actually removed this completely. The ram drill was a bit of a tough one because people would only put them on the top level because it didn't really matter where you would put them. So that had to kind of get redesigned. The harvester being a circular top right here, it meant like a lot of the dirt would kind of fall off the sides here. So that was just, there was a lot of things just mechanically that we really needed to change. I think tiers of pipes, having to have pipes like this where they would have their own separate components. Now you like put in a valve hook and a filter snapping onto the objects. So it allows the player to have a lot more customization, which is really important with Hydroneer. One thing actually that I wanted to mention is the old vehicle store at this point, as we saw in the last, 1.3 version, is there was vehicles being sold from this store. Now, we made it look like a ruined store for a very important reason, and that's when you start installing mods, this store actually becomes the modding store. So now, even in current day Hydroneer, we're still keeping the store as a ruined store, so then modders can come along and create and use this space specifically designed just for them, which is really awesome to see that they've adopted that in their own modding toolkit. So you'll see a lot of the modding stuff in here if you actually enable mods.
Yeah, cool. That, going back to like what you said earlier, you said, I think it's when we were talking about the farming update, how kind of out on the road you had like all these construction sites and like in progress things, and it's just showcasing kind of what, the same thing, but there, isn't it? Where it's still, you haven't just like cut and paste it somewhere else. You've left like a story that there was something there before. So if players like me like hop in and they don't know the game beforehand, it doesn't just look like an empty plot or anything like that. So that's cool.
Yeah. It's kind of like inspired by how like World of Warcraft do their updates. It's kind of weird. A game not similar to World of Warcraft at all has actually quite a lot of influences where, the way I do level design, for instance, or, just generally the artistic style. But one of the things is how the world evolved as they put updates out. I thought was really cool. There was one point where the town of Stormwind in the game, between one of the DLCs, it kind of, I think it was before the Lich King DLC, they actually transformed the harbor area to make it look like a building site. So, it's just one small little influence from World of Warcraft there that's made its way to Hydroneer. So right here we have the logic store. This was, I think, we just had the mini nukes as well. The logic acted fairly similar to how it is now. we had these weird things called leg X's, where you would take a pipe. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Yeah, right there. And it kind of gives itself legs. Let me show you right here. Let's grab a couple of these and put them next to each other. This is a system we added in, but nobody really used. So we just didn't bring it in for 2.0, which is a shame, but it just didn't really look great. You could kind of put legs in to join things up.
Okay, it's like it was a cosmetic thing purely, was it?
Yeah. But it just, nobody really used it. So maybe in the future, someone really wanted it, they could add it in as a mod. But yeah, so that's that. Right now we have a lot more modding logic items, which allow the player to create more things. In this version, you couldn't create as much stuff. But one thing we did have, which isn't in the current version, is these powered things. So you'd have things like these lights, which are now just logic lights. You could power a David, one of those things that shoots those big dirt balls. You could store power in batteries, which looks kind of cool and sounds cool, but isn't actually useful at all.
Okay.
We had the power reactors. And open the top and put shards in. You'd have to put water in, and then power would come out of here. Visually, I really like these items, but they just didn't really have that much use. You'd have a powered intake here, where if you hooked it up to this reactor or to one of these batteries, then it would pump water in at a higher pressure.
Okay.
It was cool in theory, but as an actual system, the design didn't really work. It was either too overpowered or way too kind of pointless and underpowered.
Yeah, I understand.
No pun intended on powered. So yeah, that kind of got thrown out. But something massive that did get thrown out, which players do tend to miss, is this over here. Now, the harbor in Hydroneer now does look quite different to how it looks like in this version. It's a lot bigger now. But one thing it is missing is this giant ship. Visually, I'm not really happy with this ship. But something that was quite cool about it was the mechanics of this ship. Now, it had a store up here, which had, just some basic stuff, these tool bags and spanners, mining helmets. But it also had a screwdriver and a workbench.
Yeah.
Now, workbench was kind of cool. If it'll ever come back to Hydroneer, we don't, maybe not. I don't have any plans for it to. But it could definitely come back in a modding format. You would put blueprints right here, and you would put the materials right here, and then using a screwdriver, you would then create the blueprint. So it might be something like a pipe or maybe a resource to sell. And that was essentially its own little progression system. So coming down in here, you can already see this kind of like tech tree almost.
Yeah.
You could buy this blueprint right here it cost a sword of 12 weight. This also got confusing because people would think it was like 12 swords.
12 swords.
So they would stack up 12 swords high. So I think we had to put in right here with weight 12. Even then, that doesn't make complete sense. So you would then make a candle, and then with that candle, you could then make a 12 weight candle to create a teapot, and that teapot would allow you to then make pipes and so on and so forth. This thing would require a teapot. So it was kind of this like tech tree almost, which had some useful stuff like pipes. You would need, spanners, being able to craft your own spanners in base. And, a lot of people, they do miss this, but it just doesn't really fit in the current version of Hydroneer. I'm absolutely sure someone could take this and kind of mod this into Hydroneer. Whether we'll see something similar in the future, maybe not. We'll see. Cool little feature is like the boat was like powered by like a giant shard kind of thing in this little room.
Yeah, it's real cool.
So yeah, that is kind of the biggest changes from 1.7 to 2.0 that we can see.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's really cool. A lot of the other things, still not there. So yeah, we don't have the massive ice helm mountain. all the claims are the same. We don't have the farming town as well, just the regular dig sites.
Wonderful. So from here, we're gonna hop into present day, right? And then we're gonna come full circle, come to the most recent patch that was like a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah, I think at this point, I think yesterday actually was the last
yesterday
put out.
Yeah. So we're gonna go full circle, and we'll tie up any loose ends, and that will be the big one, won't it? The jump from here, from where we are now, from 1.7 to 2.2 is just colossal, and we'll rattle through a few bits, but as you can imagine, there is, I mean, even I know there is a huge list of changes, and like, you could go on for hours, but yeah, we'll go over a few key bits, won't we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. All right, so here we are. We've come full circle in the Hydroneer development cycle. We are here, present day 2.2.3, maybe, if I'm not mistaken.
2.2.4, I think 2.2.4 was yesterday. Yeah.
And as you can kind of see, the vibe has totally changed. The main menu here is, it's totally different. Also, I've been watching the flags and localization on the left gradually grow as the as the versions have gone on, and we've got continents and continents here right now. So
lots of countries.
Yeah, man. Let's hop in. We'll do a quick little wrap up. See some of the bigger changes between 1.7 and 2.2, which is obviously so much has changed. But let's go with like 3 things that you yourself are kind of excited about, or were excited about, going from post 2.0 to now.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's start a new game. Let's call it Joe and Max.
Oh.
Right. Obviously one of the biggest things is new Steam achievements.
Yeah.
One thing with this as well, we wanted to make it a level playing field for everyone. So making it so creative modes and mods actually prevent Steam achievements, a little bit of a hot take. I think everyone has their own sort of opinion on that. I think it's better that everyone is on a level playing field.
Absolutely.
And these achievements are, the same difficulty for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
I can understand why some people would prefer to use mods and stuff, but you can't please everyone with that, can you?
Mm-hmm.
So here we are in Hydroneer, in 2.2.4.
Yeah.
One big thing right here, we can tell the difference of is the different trees and the different foliage.
Mm-hmm.
So the grass is just a lot nicer. It's also a lot more optimized as well, which obviously we don't have all of the grass rendered at one time, but you still do have thousands of pieces of grass rendered at any one time, just because of the location-based rendering. So the optimization really, really does help out, and just gives the player a nice. Sorry, I lost it.
Sorry.
Okay, we can just not talk about that. Another thing that is a big part of what happened in 2.0 is these guys right here. Him telling me how fat the Panglang brothers are. One thing what we wanted to do while adding in these NPCs was focus on like what dialect they would have. We went with a Yorkshire dialect, which is something that you can kind of tell. Maybe if you're English, if you're not from England, you might not be able to tell. But they use words like, are you looking for something? Or don't mind me, I'm just mooching about, which are maybe slightly stereotypical things that someone from Yorkshire might say. I don't know why I landed on Yorkshire. I just think it kind of fits the game pretty well. It was either that or maybe like a Southern American accent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. With this new update, something that's really cool is just being able to see the names above their head before you come up to them. And you can kind of see what type of quest it is. So if you are looking for just farming quests, or you are looking for prospecting quests, you can easily see the difference right there.
I mean, there's already so much which you've mentioned, which was just not even like a twinkle in your eye at that point. The questing system, the different guilds that you've got now, the different tokens which lead to their own individual progression systems and stuff. It is is wild, isn't it? It's just come such a long way.
Yeah, especially just even now, the handling of this vehicle from different version to version is, I mean, like, if you want to see for yourself, we'll leave everything in the description of how to get to these previous versions we've looked at today.
Send him.
But just the handling on this vehicle, see you later, is just so much nicer. And they don't nearly fly off as much as they do before. In fact, I don't even think they do really. They're a little bit, One of the inspirations for these vehicles is we wanted to look at similar games and how, games that have fun driving. And one of the things we looked at was actually Astroneer's vehicles.
Okay.
They are really, really, really fun to drive because they're quite archaic. They're, arcadey, I think is the right word. And so we wanted to make maybe like a slightly heavier version with, a bit more gravity. The results were really, really nice.
Absolutely. And we've got different vehicles in the game now. Each one has its own feel and they're tuned like as you would expect. We've got the little quads now, the which kind of zips around and you can stick the tail out a little bit because it's really quick. Hasn't got much storage capacity, but then we've got the mole is nowadays as well from the for the prospecting guild. That's super slow, but it's on tank track, so you can turn it on a dime kind of thing, can't you?
It's awesome. It's really, really cool. Obviously, one of the big things for 2.0 as well is just the ice helm mountain. This was obviously, again, going back to World of Warcraft, inspired by Ironforge, the big dwarven town. And it just, I think aesthetically it just looks fantastic.
Oh gosh.
It took a couple of weeks to make this, I think. It was a lot of late nights. One of our old developers, Snats, they did a really good job with the lighting here. You can only, when you actually pay attention to it, you can really see it, but it's sort of this blue lighting on this upper level, and then as it kind of moves down, it gets more and more orange. So I think they did a fantastic job with that. The crafting system with this, I think is really cool. Having to craft on this massive anvil. It's really, really awesome. One thing actually, while we're here, I may as well mention, is a lot of people think that it's somehow a bug that you can fall through these grates. But I actually create, and I don't even, I don't do the 3D art for Hydroneer, but I actually created the collision box on this, so players would fall through if they go through the gaps.
Oh, I see. Just about.
A fun little bit. But I think ice helmets is something that we as a team, I think, are really proud of.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an absolute like screenshot magnet as well, isn't it? Desktop wallpapers everywhere you look.
Yeah, for sure.
So as we've said before, there is just so much that's been added from 1.7 to where we are today. There's not enough hours in the day to cover it. And we're actually going to finish the video here at the new and reconstructed harbour. And Max has just got a couple of little bits and pieces he wants to mention before we wrap things up. Isn't that right?
Yeah. So obviously, as you guys see here, we've got the new Tier 3 store with everything in it. Obviously, I've gone through this and all the devlogs and stuff, so I don't really need to dip into it. But yeah, this is what we've got so far in Hydroneer. But this is not the end of Hydroneer. There's a lot more that we want to do. We want to start making our way to creating more large content updates. And with that, one thing that I mentioned before is how I like to create areas in the game that are only there temporarily. And as you can see here, we've got this nice crane. I think actually RCE did commend me on how it looks okay. He does love to tell me how bad the bridge looks in Bridgeport. But so yeah, this new area right here, the new harbor, is pretty blank, but it's pretty blank for now. I think that's the important kind of thing to say about it.
Yeah, you just wanted to get that out.
There's lots more coming in the future of Hydroneer. big content updates, something we want to focus on, and less, you know, kind of small little kind of bug fixing patches. So yeah, you won't see a lot of us on YouTube with any devlogs for a little bit while we're working on some of these larger content updates. But I hope that excites everyone watching. Yeah, the future of Hydroneer, it's still going.
We're not done yet.
Not done yet.
Right, so that is all we have time for today. Thank you for joining us on this little trip down memory lane for the 3rd anniversary of Hydroneer. If you want to access the versions of the games for yourself, you can do so by having a look down in the description and following the guide down there. If you enjoyed these kind of videos where, you know, myself and Max will sit down and have a more casual conversation with you about Hydroneer and all things Foulball Hangover, do let us know down in the comments. And Max, is there anything else you need to say before we sign off here?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you guys do want to see more of this stuff, definitely let us know in the comments. It's something that we might kind of bring into in between devlogs and stuff, all depending on if you guys are enjoying this. But there is one thing I want to do before we go, is talk to you guys about merch. We still have quite a bit of merch. So if you want to pick yourself up some, there is a link in the description below. We have got things like these pin badges as well with the now old logo of Hydroneer. So I guess get them while we still got them.
Vintage
Vintage at this point. We also have, oh, my camera's starting to go, but we have these, getting out of focus. We have these lovely shirts that I did not iron before shooting this video. This is in 3 different colors, as well as, of course, the giant plushies that barely fit into my camera right now. These things are pretty massive. And we've also priced all of our merch as cheap as possible as well. You know, we don't create merchandise for any sort of profit. Obviously, we do make a little bit, but we don't do it for the profit. We do it for you guys to enjoy. So if you want to take a look at any of that merchandise stuff that I've just shown you, take a look at the link in the description below. Anyway, I think that's it from me and Joe here. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you all in the next video.
See you later.